All right, guys, so we're slowly progressing through this factoring chapter. We already started factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient of 1. Now we're going to start factoring kind of the same trinomials, just now with a GCF. Okay, and what I mean when I say GCF, guys, is a greatest common factor, something you've definitely done before. Okay, so we're going to use some of your past knowledge, okay, to kind of execute these problems. So if you take a look at these problems, guys, okay, the first thing you're going to look to do is look for a greatest common factor. I like to call it shrinking. Okay, so you're going to look to see if it's possible to shrink the problem. And what I mean by that is this: if we take a glance at number 1, okay, what you should notice in number 1 about all three of those numbers, the 5, the 50, and the 120, is that all three of those numbers are evenly divisible by 5. You should notice in number 2 that all three of these numbers are divisible by 2. And then in number 3, you should notice that these numbers are divisible by 6. Okay? Now, if you make a mistake in number 3 and you try maybe 2 first, okay, which I'll show you, it's still going to work out for you. So if you don't figure out that it's 6 right off the bat, okay, you're still going to be okay. You're still going to get the problem right. I'll show you when we get to number 3. Okay, now watch what happens when we shrink these problems. So in number 1, after dividing by 5, I end up with 1x squared, 1 I can keep invisible, okay, plus 10x plus 120 divided by 5 is 24. So what happened after I shrunk it down is I ended up with a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1, which we already know how to do. Okay, I make my earmuffs. I put my x's. The last number in this problem is a positive, so that means my signs are going to be the same. The middle sign is a positive, so I'm going to have a plus plus. So I got to find two numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 10. If you listed out your pairs, you would have 1 and 24. Okay, I'm having a little trouble with my pen here. 124, 2 and 12. I don't know why it's acting up on me. 2, 12, 3, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Okay, I know it's a little sloppy, guys. Sorry, my pen's acting up a little bit, but I have 124, 212, 3, 8, 4, 6. Hopefully you recognize that 4, 6 is the combination that works. So it's going to be x plus 4, x plus 6. Or if you flipped it around, x plus 6, x plus 4, either way is fine. The only other thing that you're going to do, guys, is whatever number you shrunk by, in this case it was a 5, you're going to put it in the front. Okay, so your final answer for number 1 is 5 parentheses x plus 4, x plus 6. Okay, in number 2, okay, I shrunk by a 2, so 2 divided by 2, that's going to be a 1b squared plus 2 divided by 2, that's going to be a positive 1b. Ones I don't need to write. Minus 60 divided by 2 is 30. Okay, again, I ended up with a problem with a leading coefficient of 1. So I make my earmuffs, right? Now I got b's. All right, the last number in this problem is a negative 30. When the last number is negative, that means my signs are going to be different. So I have to find a pair of numbers that multiply to make negative 30 and add to make a positive 1 in the middle. So if you were to list out your pairs, you'd have negative 1 and 30, negative 30 and 1, negative 2, 15, negative 15 and 2. Okay, negative 3, 10, negative 10, 3, negative 5 and 6, negative 6 and 5. Hopefully you recognize that the pair that works is negative 5 and positive 6. Just be careful when you're picking your pairs, guys. Okay. Remember, they got to add to that middle number. So in this case, they got to add to make a 1 that's in here, a positive 1. Okay. Negative 5 and 6 work because negative 5 plus 6 gives us a positive 1. So the 5 is what goes with the negative. The 6 is what goes with the positive. We shrunk by a 2, so I stick a 2 in front. And my final answer for that problem is 2 parentheses b plus 6 b minus 5. Okay, so really, guys, I'm hoping you're noticing here. We're really factoring trinomials, okay, with a leading coefficient of 1, just with one additional step. All right, we're kind of navigating through this stuff slowly. I don't want to throw too much at you. All right, number 3. Okay, I'm going to erase what I have because I want to show you something. Okay, let's say you're doing number 3 on your own and you see a 6, a 42, and a 180, and you say to yourself, well, those are all even numbers, so I'm going to divide them all by 2. Okay, not a problem. That'll make this a 3x squared minus 21x minus 90. Okay, now when you go to do these now, you're not really going to know what to do because we haven't factored trinomials yet with a number in the front with a leading coefficient different than 1. That's what's coming up next. Okay, what you should notice here is now I have a 3, a 21, and a 90. Those 3 numbers are divisible by 3, so I can shrink it again. Now I got a leading coefficient of 1. Okay, now if I go back, right, I divided by 2 first, then I divided by 3. I split this into 2 steps. Well, if I divided by 2 and then I divided by 3, okay, you can make that 1 step by just dividing by 6. But I just wanted to show you that because sometimes you're not going to see the biggest number that works. So you may have to shrink twice. That's fine. Okay, you keep shrinking until you can't shrink anymore. Okay, let's finish this one out. I got my earmuffs. Okay, the last number in this problem is a negative, which means I'm going to have different signs. I got a positive and a negative. So I got to find a combination of numbers that multiply to negative 30 and add to make negative 7. The good thing is I already have those combinations listed out, right? I got those combinations right here. Okay, so we kind of lucked out there. I don't have to list them out again. So let's find the numbers from that list that will give me a negative 7 in the middle. Looks like this one right here. Negative 10 and 3 are going to add to negative 7. So the 10 goes with the negative, the 3 goes with the positive. Now, here's the only thing you have to be careful of when you shrink twice, okay? Because remember, after you're done shrinking, you got to put that number in the front. So if you shrunk twice like we did here, we shrunk by a 2 and then we shrunk by a 3, make sure you multiply those. 2 times 3, that's obviously 6. That's the number that goes in front. Okay, so just be careful. Your final answer there is 6 parentheses x plus 3 x minus 10. So again, guys, this is really the same stuff that we did, just with one additional step, finding that GCF, finding that greatest common factor. Okay, I like to call it, like I said, I like to call it shrinking. Okay, if you notice when you divided by the GCF, right, the numbers became smaller. We shrunk the problem. We made the problem a little bit more manageable. Okay, and that's all I got. Okay, good luck.